From PRX, it's... This week, writer Gabe Henry.
I was a big grammar nerd. I would go further. I would say I was a big grammar cop. I mean, I would correct people. I would judge people on spelling, on commas.
Poet William Nuʻutupu Giles.
For so long, writing was like something I did shamefully in my diary, away from anyone humanly possible.
With music from Sir Woman and our fabulous house band. I'm your announcer, Elena Passarello, and now, the host of Livewire, Luke Burbank.
Hey, thank you so much, Elena Passarello. Thanks to everyone for tuning in from all over these United States. We have an absolutely great show in store for you this week. First, though, of course, we got to kick things off with the best news we heard all week. This is our little reminder at the top of the show that there is, in fact, good news happening somewhere on this planet, and we're going to find it for you and present it to you right now. Elena, what is the best news you heard all week?
Dog news! Dog news! Happy dog news! Woof, 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 woof. If A. Walker Spring, our amazing composer, ever needs an apprentice, I think that's my audition right there.
No notes. I mean, I love that.
It's worth singing about this news. I love it. So last month, there was a pet adoption event in Rustburg, Virginia, and a volunteer was walking a lab pity mix named Sienna around, sort of showing her off. And all of a sudden, the leash goes tight, and Sienna just makes a beeline across the event to this guy, 46-year-old guy named Josh Davis, and puts her paws on his chest and says, hello, I guess, and like won't leave his side, won't budge, is doing that dog thing in the movies where like Lassie's trying to get your attention because Timmy's down the well or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what's going on? And then his wife came over, Josh Davis's wife came over and was looking at him, and she can tell he's an epileptic, and she could tell by the way that his eyes were moving that he might be on the verge of having a seizure. And he remembered that he had forgotten to take his medication that day. And, you know, so this dog, who they think is completely untrained, a stray, was actually able to warn this guy on the other side of the room that he was about to have a seizure. So dog of the year. But, you know, what would be the perfect happy ending to that story would be if Josh then got to take the dog home.
That couldn't happen, though, right? I mean, not in this economy.
It didn't happen. Because Josh and his wife already had 3 rescues at home.
Fair.
I saw a picture of them. They're very cute, but they also look like divas. So maybe not so much of a 4th dog. But the second best happy ending would be if not too long after that, a family who also has an epileptic son brought her home. And now Sienna is a happy member of Shannon Sweeney's family, where apparently she throws all 60 pounds of her onto her loved ones and smothers them with kisses. She's the cutest dog. So all's well that ends well in Rustburg, Virginia.
Amazing that this dog, without any formal training, had sort of just intuited this. I mean, that's incredible.
I guess that's how they figured out that dogs could do this. You know, like there's just something about the way that they can tell behaviors.
They are very, I mean, I would say this kind of goes for dogs and cats in my experiences. Like they can sense when your emotions shift. It would seem, you know, like they're pretty keyed into what's going on with us, which is incredible. Speaking of the emotion known as love, Elena, you know that I'm big on romance. It's my middle name. It's why I've been married so many times. And I've got a story about romance for you, which sort of unfolded a couple of weeks ago on a beach on the southwest coast of Ireland on the Maharis Peninsula. Kate and John Gay were walking along the beach, and they found a bottle on the beach. And so they brought it home. And in fact, they got together. They're in part of a conservation group there in Ireland that's looking to take care of this peninsula. So they got their friends together, and they opened up the bottle. And the bottle had, like, I guess you would sort of call it like a, not so much a love letter, but like a love diary entry.
What?
Like it was written by 2 people named Brad and Anita. And what they wrote on the piece of paper that was in the bottle that was found in Ireland was, today we enjoyed dinner, this bottle of wine, and if there's children in the room, shield their ears, and each other. on the edge of the island. I don't know, take that for whatever.
So they had a little, let's say, alfresco experience.
I mean, I guess that's what's implied here.
And then chucked the bottle of wine that they had drunk into the ocean?
Into the ocean in Newfoundland 13 years ago. Because Brad and Anita at the time were dating. He was living, and we find this out now, he was living in British Columbia. He was a police officer. She was going to nursing school in Newfoundland. And so they were visiting each other, and they were having a lovely little time together, and threw the bottle into the ocean. Well, Brad says he actually didn't think it made it into the ocean. He said he gave it, quote, all he had, but he thought it definitely smashed on the rocks.
Well, he was probably tired after all that.
Seriously. The wine, the other stuff. So Brad and Anita had no idea that this bottle had actually gotten into the ocean and had then drifted across the Atlantic Ocean and ended up in southern Ireland, where the folks that found it went and got online and were able to figure out that Brad and Anita were Brad and Anita Squires, who are married with 3 kids.
Oh.
This was sort of, I guess, maybe the moment that kind of sealed the deal for them. Since then, they've been married. They've raised a family together. They're living, like, by all accounts, a happy and romantic life all these years later.
That's wonderful. Oh,
I know. Isn't that sweet? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you would think that the chances are pretty slim that the 2 people who were, downing the wine and having public sex would be able to piece that together for a happy and functional marital life together. But maybe that's their secret. I don't know. But shout out to Brad.
Let's all get on that, I guess.
Seriously, it's going well for the Squires, and that's the best news that I've heard all week. All right, let's get to our first guest this week, who has spent more than a decade exploring the history of something that I had no idea about, Elena, until we got this book. It's the Simplified Spelling Movement. Basically, it's been this attempt over many, many years to change the way we spell a lot of words in the English language, including laugh, like changing it to L-A-F, or love, changing it to L-U-V. It was unclear what these people's plan has been for live, but, we can deal with that later. Now, by his own admission, the research on this project has actually kind of left him maybe with more questions about spelling than he started out with. But it's generated this really fascinating book, which is called Enough is Enough, E-N-U-F. Our failed attempts to make English easier, E-E-Z-I-E-R, to spell, which the Wall Street Journal calls a smart, lighthearted chronicle of the simplified spelling movement. Take a listen to Gabe Henry, who joined us at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon. Gabe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This book was really incredible. I've learned so much from it, but it's written with such a light touch. It's a really fun read. I'm just curious, though, because it really dives deep on language and spelling and grammar and things like that. What was your sort of grammar nerd status like before you started on this book? Were you always someone who was tracking that kind of stuff? And it's not just grammar, it's spelling, but were you a word person?
I was a big grammar nerd.
Okay.
I would go further. I would say I was a big grammar cop. I mean, I would correct people. I would judge people on spelling, on commas. And I think writing this book kind of softened me. It made me a little bit more accepting of those people who stray from the grammatical path.
and the spelling path, right?
And the spelling path.
So one of the things you mentioned in the book, which had never occurred to me, is that basically English is the only language where we have spelling bees. And that tells you something?
It's true. We have the most complicated, irregular, inconsistent spelling, and a lot has to do with our history. England was invaded so many times over hundreds of years by the Romans who spoke Latin, and the Vikings who spoke Norse, and the Germans and the French. And then over time, all these languages kind of merged and mingled into this messy hodgepodge that we call English.
You know what's funny, Gabe, is my next question to you was,
can you give me the history of the English language? And then my joke was going to be to say, can you do it in 30 seconds? But you just did that. You actually really did that. You summarized it very neatly.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But this is not the case with a lot of other languages. I just assumed, because I'm a fairly unsophisticated person, that every language had its weird spellings and just quirks. And this is not the case, though, to the degree it is in English?
Yeah, people who are bilingual, people who learned English as an adult, you'll know that it takes a lot longer to learn our spelling. It's less regular, and we have a lot of silent letters. Mm-hmm. A lot of languages have silent letters. It's more the inconsistent distribution of these silent letters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So think of the letters like O-U-G-H. They could be pronounced through, though, tough, cough, bow, thought.
Right.
Those are the 6 main ones. And then there's the old English hiccup, which used to be spelled hiccough. I mean, it goes on and on. You get the idea.
Right. Is this because we have a too many sounds, not enough letters problem?
Yeah. So people who study this, linguists, they identify that a lot of our problem comes down to we have 26 letters, but 44 sounds in our language. So a lot of those letters have to do double duty, triple duty to make up for those 16, 18 missing phonemes. So it's like having 44 jobs that need to be done and having 26 employees. Yeah. No one's happy. And then the result is that English, it takes children up to 2 to 3 times longer to learn spelling compared to like Spanish or German or these more phonetic spellings. We also have twice the rate of dyslexia. I mean, there's some real-world consequences for all this.
This is Livewire from PRX. We are talking to Gabe Henry about his book, Enough is Enough, Our Failed Attempts to Make English Easier to Spell. Stick around. We have much more with Gabe and what I think might be the cutest segment in Livewire history coming up after this break. Welcome back to Livewire. I am your host, Luke Burbank, here with Elena Passarello. We are listening to a conversation that we recorded with Gabe Henry, talking about his book, Enough is Enough, Our Failed Attempts to Make English Easier to Spell. We recorded this live at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon. Let's get back into it.
Can you tell me about some of the pretty well-known people who have tried to fix this situation over the years?
Yeah, so a startling number of historical figures have tried to fix our spelling. Benjamin Franklin, he came up with this alphabet in 1768 that removed 6 letters and added 6 new letters and respelled words phonetically like busy, B-I-Z-I, and you is I-U. And that proposal didn't go that far, but...
Well, didn't he send a letter to like a lady friend written in this language, and she was like, honey, no.
No.
So Franklin wrote up this proposal. He sent it to one friend. It's kind of his confidant, this woman, Polly Stevenson, and just asking her for advice. And she took 3 months to respond, so that's an indication right there.
It was the equivalent of like the 3 dots under
That's
a text.
right.
Yeah. She left it unread.
Yeah.
And then when she finally did respond, she was not happy. Like, she was not happy to receive this letter and then have the responsibility of giving Benjamin Franklin, advice on what she really realized was impractical. So she responded, and her response was so lackluster that Franklin really never spoke about it publicly again.
Didn't he sort of bring it up? Was it with
Noah Webster?
Noah Webster.
Yeah.
He kind of revisited it with him at some point?
He revisited it about 20 years later. In 1789, Noah Webster, who we all know as the writer of Webster's Dictionary. He's a young man. He's 27. He's rubbing everyone the wrong way. No one knows who he is yet.
Oh, yeah. Can we read? I have this right here. Some of the insults that people at the time were saying about the guy who invented our dictionary that we go to. This was amazing to me. He was so off-putting as a person that people called him a pusillanimous, half-begotten, self-dubbed patriot. That actually sounds familiar. A toad in the service of sans culotism, a great fool and a barefaced liar, a spiteful viper, a maniacal pedant, a dunghill cock of faction.
I'm saving that one.
An incurable lunatic, and a deceitful newsmonger.
Yeah. So this is the man that we're getting all our words from.
Yeah.
This deceitful viper.
Why did people not like him?
He had this personality where he was very arrogant, looked down upon people. He would give these lectures where he would basically call out people for their grammatical failures. He
like you used to.
Like me. And I've changed my ways. Noah Webster didn't. And that's just his personality. But his proposal for spelling reform in 1789, this is the birth of the American Republic, and all the founding fathers are trying to figure out ways to distinguish American culture, identity, and language from that of its former oppressor, England. So there were discussions about what our new language would be. Some people posed French would be the new American language. Other people said Greek. And Noah Webster comes along and he says, we can continue to have English, but we'll write in an American English. And this American English will be simplified. We'll write laugh as L-A-F, tough as T-U-F, though as T-H-O, tongue as T-U-N-G. And it was this radical proposal, and he published this. The response was just pure indifference at best, mockery at worst, and it was incessant. It was relentless, and he basically eventually withdrew this proposal. But before he did, he was working on it in collaboration with Benjamin Franklin, who he saw as his mentor, this elder statesman who had attempted this once before.
Can we talk about Samuel Johnson a little bit? First of all, remind folks who Samuel Johnson was and then how he sort of played into this situation.
Samuel Johnson was the first lexicographer, meaning dictionary writer, the first major dictionary writer in English. He was British, though, and he published his dictionary in 1755. It was a huge 2-volume tome. It weighed, I think I did this calculation. I have it in the book. It weighed as much as a car tire.
Wow.
And he was the first person to, in a thorough way, in an authoritative way, to crystallize and concretize English spelling and words as we know it. But the thing is, he did this out of a place of patriotism because he loved England, and as much as he loved England, he hated America. So he inserted in his dictionary all these slight insults to America, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, all these places that he decided were not up to snuff with England.
Well, because this is what I, of course, didn't think about till I was reading the book, was that people made up the dictionary at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were trying to research it and trying to be accurate and collect up what everybody was meaning when they would say a word, but at some point there was a lot of judgment calls, and it's just basically one person making a list of words.
It's one person alone in the room for 20 years making a list.
Yeah. And he also, I'm trying to find the exact spot in the book, he had some pretty questionable definitions that you write out, these like, I don't know if you'll remember off the top of your head, but yeah, he had a belly god.
Belly god, one who makes a glutton of himself with food. He's a belly god. He eats everything, which I kind of want on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the funny fellows? Kind of like the proto stand-up comics, as you put it in the book.
So after Noah Webster, simplified spelling starts gaining momentum, and a lot of proposals come out, dozens of proposals, all varying in their angles and their degree of simplification. Some of them were brilliant, some of them were absurd. But as simplified spelling gained momentum in the 19th century, America's humorists couldn't resist poking fun at it. So a group of writers calling themselves the Funny Fellows, funny spelled PH, fellows spelled PH, they kind of turned simplified spelling into this micro-literary genre and turned deliberate misspelling into this popular thing. And they kind of made a name for themselves in their deliberately misspelled humor pieces.
But you sort of say in the book that the Funny Fellows kind of hurt the movement, this simplified spelling movement, because they turned it into a big joke.
Yeah, first of all, it's very easy to make fun of simplified spelling because it looks like child writing. It is as simplified and phonetic as you can get. If you ask a 4-year-old to sound out enough, they would probably spell it E-N-U-F. So this is, even though these simplified spelling proposals came about in a serious way, it was just very easy to mock. And because the Funny Fellows had such visibility and such literary prestige, they kind of killed the movement. Not entirely, but they made it a target of ridicule for the rest of time.
Has it, in some measurable way, held us back as a society, the fact that we have this complicated language?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the language as we have it now, as I said, because it halts childhood learning, it is a barrier for English as a second language. It is also a big barricade for anyone who's trying to become literate as an adult. Maybe for whatever reason, you didn't learn how to read growing up. But learning as an adult, now you have to struggle with all these versions of OUGH and words like womb, which rhymes with room, but not with comb.
Right.
Or choir, which rhymes with liar, and as well as squire and fire and pyre and friar and probably a dozen more. It has held us back, I think. And but the question of like whether we should become simplified spellers, I don't know if like that's really the way to go, to artificially push us in this direction. I think that change in that way comes more from the bottom up, not from the top down.
And yet, we have texting, which you talk about in the book. It's like, what are the, nature bats last. We've just landed on this kind of, simplified spelling for convenience sake now, kind of without anyone making us do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great irony, that for centuries, these reformers were pushing their simplifications upon the public to no success. But when left alone, the language seems to be naturally simplifying, at least in this informal digital shorthand way. And it's to fit the needs of our more interconnected society, our faster-paced society, just our more modern world. And I think there are words today we use all the time, like though, spelled T-H-O, which I probably text 3 times a day. I think my dad texts about 20 times a day. Right. Just to say it's not generational specific.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all. And words like through, T-H-R-U, these are more common now than Noah Webster ever could have imagined when he proposed them back in the 1700s.
The book is Enough is Enough. Gabe Henry, stick around for a quick second. We want to do one more exercise with you because we know that you've been spending a lot of time immersing yourself in the simplified spelling movement. There's another, I don't know if you know about this, it's a kind of an intuitive spelling movement that's going on. It's called Brave Spelling. This is a real thing. And it's where you sort of let kids try to spell things themselves and just kind of see where they end up. And it turns out there is a practitioner of this method here in Portland. She's a kindergartner named Poppy. Also happens to be the child of our executive producer, Laura Haddon. Here's what we want to do with you, Gabe. We want to sort of do like a reverse spelling bee. Okay?
Okay.
So we had Poppy, who is 6 years old and in kindergarten, try to spell some words. And we recorded that. And we're going to play you Poppy trying to spell these things, and we want to see if you can guess the word that Poppy was trying to spell.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, here comes the first one. Just some brave spelling from Poppy.
CAPLDISEM.
CAPLDISEM.
Capitalism.
That is exactly right.
Yes.
Well done. Let's go to Poppy for the answer.
Capitalism.
Great work, Gabe. It's clear that you have been studying your spelling.
I just have the brain of a six-year-old.
All right, here is word number 2, spelled by local Portland resident Poppy.
MISTILANEIS.
That's MISTILANEIS.
There's a real phonetic logic to all of this.
Yes.
Is it miscellaneous?
It is miscellaneous. Very good. Here's Poppy with the answer.
Miscellaneous.
All right.
Said fast.
Yes. Well, I think what I cut out from that, let's see if we can go back to the original source file, if I can do this on the fly. It was Laura trying to coach Poppy through saying it more quickly. This was,
Miscellaneous.
Okay, can you say it faster?
Miscellaneous.
you're doing really, really well, Gabe. This is impressive. All right. Here's our final word. See if you could figure this one out from Poppy.
DODURD.
DODURD.
It really is just like a spelling bee.
Daughter?
Daughter is right. That's right, daughter.
Wow.
It's interesting that she wanted to put the D on the end. There's something about what the R does that
Daughter.
makes her want to put like a terminal.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Daughter.
That's incredible, Gabe. I want to play one last thing. We did try to get Poppy to spell patriarchy, and she was uninterested. Take a listen to this.
Okay. Can you spell patriarchy?
Why?
Yeah.
No, I'm only doing happy words.
If you want to take Poppy on the rest of the book tour with you, Gabe, I think...
Well, I was actually looking for an audiobook narrator.
Yes. You found him. That's how you play reverse spelling bee. Gabe Henry, thank you so much for coming on Livewire. Great job.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was Gabe Henry right here on Livewire. His latest book, Enough is Enough. Our failed attempts to make English easier to spell is available to read right now. Livewire is brought to you by Powell's Books, a Portland institution since 1971. Powell's offers a selection of new and used books in stores and online at powells.com. This is Livewire. I'm Luke Burbank here with Elena Passarello. Of course, each week on the show, we like to ask the Livewire audience a question. This week, we were inspired by Gabe Henry's book about spelling. So, Elena, what did we ask the audience?
We wanted the audience to tell us a word that they have a hard time spelling.
Oh, gosh. Restaurant.
Definitely.
Defiantly.
Yeah, you got to put finite in there.
Yes. Also, separate is a problem for me.
Huh.
Because I feel like it should be an E, but it's an A, right?
I thought you were going to say also Burbank.
Yes, that one's always been hanging me up for years and years. Here's what we did. We actually went into the live audience at a recent taping of the show and asked folks to tell us about the words that they have a hard time spelling. Here's Megan and Jonathan.
Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce.
I can spell that one.
You
yeah.
spell it. You spell it.
WORCESTERSHIRE.
Although everybody in Worcester, Mass totally knows how to spell
Right?
Worcestershire.
I mean, I don't even think there's a chance in heck that I could spell Worcestershire.
No, no.
I can barely say it. I'm still on the same bottle I bought in my 20s. I don't understand the business model of that sauce. I believe they sell you one bottle per lifetime.
Yeah.
And then, unless you're having a lot of Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
All right, here's a word that Cameron, a recent attendee of a Livewire taping, has trouble spelling.
Gruyere. Gruyere, like the cheese. Yeah. Gruearr.
I don't think that was right.
No, I don't think so. I think you got to get a Y involved for sure.
I feel like you should get also a special dispensation if it's a word of like a different origin in terms of language. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think we should be. If you grew up speaking English and it's the only language you speak, I don't know if there should be an expectation you can spell French cheeses.
Yeah, or hors d'oeuvres. Like,
hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah. There's always that moment, like if you've only heard a word the first time that you see it in print and you're like, what is, that's how you do that? Like facetious. The first time I saw facetious, I was like, what?
I am still having that experience at 49 years of age.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Colin. Now, this is a little bit, I mean, this is a sort of a word about a bodily situation that I think we can play on public radio, okay? But this is Colin having trouble spelling this word.
Diarrhea.
Yeah, can you attempt to spell diarrhea for us?
Yeah, just do it.
From England?
Yes.
I think something like DIARRHOEA.
Yeah, because it's spelled, this is part of the book, right? Like it's spelled differently over there because when people came here, there are certain English words that were spoken in the UK that we decided to take like the U out of flavor and labor.
Color.
And diarrhea, for some reason, got a new spelling, but it's also impossible. So, but over there, it ends in an OEA, I think.
My hope is that I don't have to spell that word very often on either side of the Atlantic Ocean, you know?
Yeah, and there's only 4 letters in runs, so, you know.
Yeah,
like
yes, that's my version. It's sort of like, you might call it porky pigging it. Like, you take on a word, you realize, I'm not going to be able to spell this. What's the shorter version of this word that will convey the same meaning?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if that segment made us smarter or just feel less bad about the fact that none of us can spell anymore, but thank you very much to our brave listeners who weighed in on that. Our next guest here on Livewire is a National Poetry Slam champ whose work has been featured on HBO, NBC News, and the National Park Service, among other places. They've performed across the country, from the San Francisco Opera House to the Kennedy Center to Broadway to the Hotel Crocodile in Seattle, which is where we met up with William Nuʻutupu Giles, who joined us for a special Livewire event. Take a listen to this.
William, welcome to Livewire.
Thank you. I am very, very excited to be here.
I'm curious, well, first of all, where did you grow up?
Honolulu, Hawaii.
What was I see, some people just flew in. What was the kind of spoken word culture like that you grew up with, the poetry? What were you hearing as a kid?
I feel really lucky. I found a poetry community called You Speaks Hawaii, where basically a bunch of teachers, after they got done teaching school, decided to run poetry workshops and open mics for young folks. I got really lucky to just have amazing mentors and be able to find a community, because for so long writing was like something I did shamefully in my diary away from anyone humanly possible.
Really?
And so it felt really cool to finally find a place where like I could polish my little gems in secret and then find people to both to listen to and also to share with.
So you were one of those kids who kept a diary, and that was how you were sort of processing your feelings and trying to make sense of your world?
Yes, absolutely. Not by talking to other people, simply by talking to my notebook.
Honestly, you'll fit right in with the Livewire listeners. Do those diaries still exist?
I'm sure I have a few of them that I will lock in a vault soon and never show anyone.
Really? Were you a hip-hop kid? Were you listening to hip-hop? Were you listening to like spoken word in the sort of more pop culture way?
No, I was listening to musical theater and like acoustic music and Hawaiian folk, like everything and everything.
Because then I know that you went through this spoken word and hip-hop program in Wisconsin, right? Which I think you were saying was pretty pivotal in your development. First of all, Wisconsin, known hotbed for hip-hop. But like, what was that program like, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, it's through the Office of Multicultural Arts Initiatives, OMI. It was just a phenomenal like hip-hop learning theater program. They recruited 15 students every year. And for me, it was like the first time I'd seen art invested in similar to like a sports program. So that felt very cool. It was like 15 of us, of singers, dancers, poets, breakdancers, graffiti artists. And they were like, great, your first assignment is to work together and use all your talents and create a 15-person play. And we're like, what? But it was beautiful. Like I got to work with poets. I got to perform a poem while someone breakdanced and another person like played the cello. Like it was just so cool to see all these intersections of art.
Well, can we hear a poem?
Yes, absolutely.
What can you tell us about this poem?
This is a poem I wrote with actually one of my mentors, one of the co-founders of You Speaks Hawaii, where I started writing, Travis Thompson, a phenomenal Hawaiian poet. And we wrote this piece to kind of share at the National Poetry Slam in 2014, how it feels to be an indigenous person. I'm of Samoan descent. I was born and raised in Hawaii, and he's Hawaiian. And it was like, how do we feel that our entire artistry is in a language of someone who colonized our people? And it's like, it was like, is this empowering? Is this disempowering? Do I feel good about, like, it was just a very interesting kind of like cultural reflection and a chance to kind of bring the same sort of academic rigor to our research and then present that sometimes difficult, sometimes difficult history in hopefully a beautiful or less painful way.
All right, let's hear that now. This is William Nuʻutupu Giles here on Livewire.
For over 3.5 millennia, the islanders of Pacifica spoke without alphabet or written language, so spit me a poem with the names of the wind and the rain, the sacred spaces of your gods and ancestors. The people of Oceania retained all knowledge and all history through the shaping of spoken word into muscle memory. Every story, a poem. So spit me a poem of how the world was made, beginning with your grandmother's face. How every speck of land on this earth was poured from the thick cocoa of her eyes, every island and continent broken only by her blinks. You see, an ocean erases all that is written in sand, so my ancestors etched everything into the tides of their tongues. Now, as a historian, while I retell the tales of my ancestors using a colonizer's English, I am unsure if the act is one of resistance or oppression. I sometimes still see my tongue the way an amputee feels the itch of a dismembered limb. It aches when I say my own middle name, Nuʻutupu. See, I was born with the pride of my history, but no knowledge of my language, speaking with the pride of a skin I lived with, but not in. Imagine the entire knowledge of the world ended with what you could remember. In ancient Polynesia, the children with the best memory skills were chosen to be the culture keepers, the storytellers. They were handpicked to be poets. Weaving today's events into yesterday's lore, they were practicing immortality in breath, weaving generations through the genealogies until foreign diseases interrupted entire bloodlines with death. In just over 100 years of the arrival of the West, nearly 90% of the native Hawaiian population was dead and their language was banned. Only 1 in 10 survived. So a knowledgeable person's death was the same as a library burning down. Today, we are still sifting through the ashes of a culture once deemed illegal. We are the descendants of the 10% who learned to speak in smoke, and sometimes I still see my tongue as just a colonizer's shovel. With most words, I am unsure if I'm burying my ancestors or digging them up, so spit me a poem about rebirth and redefining home, about the ways your forefathers died and the ways that you have grown. Though I do not sound like my ancestors, I still practice their traditions. These bones still remember their stories, and I cannot escape the history of colonization any more than I can escape their near extinction, so my own personal culture must be more than language. It is practice. So I'll spit you a poem without alphabet or written language, weaving today's events into yesterday's lore. I will spit you a poem with all the knowledge of the world, ending with what I can remember. And more, I will teach 100 years of colonizers that a language is the most dangerous weapon you can give to a bloodline of storytellers, culture keepers, with a responsibility to speak no matter the split tongue. So spit me a poem that is more rope than it is stone, and I will weave your story into the library born within these bones so that our stories will never have to die. So our stories will never have to live alone.
That was William Nuʻutupu Giles, recorded live at the Hotel Crocodile in Seattle, Washington. You can check out their work and many other talented poets in the new book, We the Gathered Heat, Asian American and Pacific Islander Poetry, Performance, and Spoken Word. All right, we got to take a very quick break here on Livewire, but do not go anywhere. When we come back, Sir Woman will play us a song that you do not want to miss. I've already heard it, and I can verify it's really good. Stick around. More Livewire in a moment. Welcome back to Livewire from PRX. I'm Luke Burbank here with Elena Passarello. All right. I can see you furrowing your brow, Elena, because you know that it is time for station location identification examination. This is where I like to quiz our esteemed announcer, Elena Passarello, about a place in the United States where Livewire is on the radio, and Elena's got to try to guess where I am talking about. Okay. This city is located in something known as driftless area, also known as bluff country, or the Paleozoic Plateau, which means it's a part of the country that was never covered by ice during the last ice age.
Huh. So it's a place that gets cold that's east of the Rocky Mountains.
Yes. I like how you're thinking. It's also home of the Vesterheim Norwegian American Museum, which every July hosts the Nordic Fest, which includes a variety of activities ranging from the Nordic rock throwing competition to my favorite, the lutefisk eating contest. You should see me put back the lutefisk, Elena.
Well, now we're definitely going to be up there in the Wisconsin, Minnesota-y.
You would think so. It's up near there, but go a little south. Go a little more.
Iowa.
Yes, you're in the state.
Okay, and the bluff, and there's a lot of glacier coverage in Iowa, so we're definitely in the eastern part of the state.
Yes. The next hint I have for you is also extremely old. It's 470 million years old, which I don't know if that's going to help you. A meteorite as big as a city block smashed into the place that is where this city now is. The impact dug a crater nearly 4 miles wide that now lies beneath the town and is filled by an unusual shale that formed. I see you nodding your head like this actually means something to you.
Well, you know, I lived in Iowa for 3 years.
I do know this.
We drove to absolutely everything that you could do, including the world's largest pineapple. I feel like maybe we did go to the meteorite and it was in like Dubuque.
Okay,
Decorah,
Iowa.
Decorah.
Good old Decorah, Iowa, which is where we're on KLNI FM radio.
Woohoo.
Shout out to the folks tuning in Decorah, Iowa. All right. Before we get to this week's musical performance by Sir Woman, a little preview of next week's show. We're going to be talking about joy, which feels like something we can all use a little more of in our lives. We're going to be talking to the writer and poet Ross Gay, one of our favorites here on Livewire, about his book, Inciting Joy. He's going to read from the book. Then we're going to catch up with the Michelin star chef and writer Lane Regan on why they love cooking, but why they don't love being a chef necessarily, and they're going to explain the distinction. All that plus music from Baroque Betty and Mood Area 52. That is next week on the show. This week on the show, our musical guest features the Austin-based musician Kelsey Wilson and her band playing their unique blend of soul and funk and R&B, which earned Kelsey Artist of the Year Award at the Austin Music Awards and also has garnered more than 30 million Spotify streams. This is Sir Woman, who joined us at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon. Take a listen.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome. I know, Kelsey, that you get asked about the name of the project a lot, but I was reading about it on your website, and I thought this is actually bears talking about because the way this name came about for the band or for your performing as this band also oriented your thoughts about the kind of music you were going to make?
Yeah. That kind of just all happened at once. I'll give the NPR version of this story. When you first brought it up, I was like, this is not like super family friendly. I was on a lot of mushrooms. And I was in Florida, which is an important detail. Love you, Florida. I was with another band for about 15 years, touring and playing music, and it's called Wild Child, and it's more like indie folk. It's very sweet ukulele, and I was on a bunch of mushrooms, and we were playing a festival. I think Snoop Dogg was a headliner. It was like Snoop Dogg and the Funky Meters. And it was like, choose between the Funky Meters and Snoop Dogg. And I was like, I want to see the Funky Meters because I hadn't before. No one was there. Everyone was watching Snoop Dogg. But I'm watching the Funky Meters by myself. And I like walk back to the artist lounge because, I don't know, I think I'm going to meet them or something. Again, tripping. And I'm wearing all these jackets and stuff because it's kind of cold. And security can't see me. And they just start yelling at me and saying, sir, sir. And I just keep walking because they're not talking to me. And then she says, woman. And I was like, whoa. Okay, Sir Woman, she was talking to me. I am Sir Woman. And it just kind of all clicked. I was like, I am not supposed to make indie folk music. I don't listen to indie folk music. I like the Funky Meters. I'm watching the Meters and not Snoop Dogg and not the Chainsmokers or whatever other DJ was happening. I was like, this doesn't fit. Sir Woman is something else. Someone else. She's this creature in the woods that's not supposed to be there. And yeah, just kind of I had all these songs start like happening in my head after the name appeared. And yeah, now we're like a 20-person band.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You have this new double album release, If It All Works Out is one of the albums, and then If It Doesn't, it's the other album. It's really covering your bases there.
I'm a very serious person. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, they also are supposed to come with a mood ring in the shape of a 69, and it gives you like a mood chart. So you put on a mood ring, and it'll tell you what album you need to listen to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but the mood rings didn't come out. You have to they're temperature controlled, and it has to get over 200 degrees to change colors. So you don't get a mood ring, but the idea was there. You just have to know what mood you're in.
Yeah. Trust your heart as to which one of the albums that you should be reaching for.
And it's I have this quote that I kind of live by. It makes me feel better about absolutely everything. It's, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, even better. Even better. We have no idea, right? Feels good. So it's kind of it sounds like it's an album for a good day and an album for a bad day, but it's actually album for a good day and an album for an even better one.
Nice.
So that's kind of what it's for.
Well, what song are we going to hear?
We're going to hear a song off If It All Works Out.
Okay.
Called High Praise.
All right, this is Sir Woman on Livewire.
You're giving me this high praise, acting like you know me well. You think I don't have bad days? Well, baby, let me break the spell. Oh, you know nobody's worth it. Can't see what they can take from you. So if it really hurts, baby, just tell them what you're going through. High praise. You're giving me this high praise. I'm giving you this high praise, 'cause you never did me wrong. You don't owe them a damn thing. Just say you love them, move along. Oh, you know nobody's worth it. They can't see what they take from you. So if it really hurts, baby, just tell them what you're going through. I know why you call. I know why you call. I'm giving you this high praise. 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 When you need me, know I'll be there. But baby, you got what it takes. So just call me, I'll remind you if I have to do it every day. I know why you call. I know why you call. I'm giving you this high praise, 'cause you never did me wrong. You don't owe them a damn thing. Just say you love them, move along. Oh, you know nobody's worth it. They can't see what they take from you. So if it really hurts, baby, tell them what you're going through. You're giving me this high praise. 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 I know why you
That was Sir Woman right here on Livewire, recorded live at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon. Their double album, If It All Works Out / If It Doesn't, is available right now. Well, this all worked out, I think. This was a great episode of Livewire, which we find ourselves now at the end of. A huge thanks to our guests, Gabe Henry, William Nuʻutupu Giles, and Sir Woman. Hey, special thanks this episode to Roger Meyer, the Hotel Crocodile, and Tonya Zubia.
Laura Haddon is our executive producer, Heather D. Michelle is our executive director, and our producer and editor is Melanie Savchenko. Our technical director is Eben Hofer, with assistance from Ness Royster. Hazik bin Ahmad Farid is our assistant editor, and our house sound is by D. Neil Blake. Ashley Park is our production fellow.
Valentine Keck is our operations manager. Andrea Castro-Martinez is our marketing associate. And Ezra Veenstra runs our front of house. Our house band is Sam Pinkerton, Ethan Fox Tucker, A.L. Alves, and A. Walker Spring, who also composes our music. This episode was mixed by Eben Hofer and Hazik bin Ahmad Farid.
Additional funding provided by the City of Portland's Office of Arts and Culture. Livewire was created by Robin Tenenbaum and Kate Sokoloff. This week, we'd like to thank member Toby Fitch of Portland, Oregon. Woohoo!
What up, Toby and Terry? For more information about our show or how you can listen to our podcast, head on over to livewireradio.org. I'm Luke Burbank for Elena Passarello and the whole Livewire team. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.